Okay, hey, Nate Webb here again. Outdoor wiring is an important piece. I'm going to go back to this power supply real quick. And I don't know if you can really tell, but if you look at this power supply, you'll notice that the wires here, there's not a whole lot of other things inside of that wire. So what I'm talking about specifically is looking at the end of this wire right here, right? I don't know if you could see that, but this wire does not have the typical brand braiding and other types of things inside of it, the braiding. And here's an example of what I mean. So this is just a Edison power cable goes to any kind of device, right? So I cut off the one end and I cut it out to where I can just get to the wires. Well, inside of here is this plastic mesh. The idea behind this is that it gives strength to this cable. So if I'm plugging this in and out, pulling on it or whatever, the cable is going to be secure and safe, and it's not going to be pulling on the wires itself. Well, in outdoor applications, water through just even a small little nick in this wire can enter into the cable, and it will trace along inside of this wire. So it'll flow right through all these little braids and find its way back to a weak point. And at that point, obviously we talked about galvanic corrosion. So what you want to do is you want to use wire that's called outside plant. Now this outside plant wire does not have any of that braid. It doesn't have an artificial braid, it doesn't have a natural fiber braid, it doesn't have anything. So it is literally the jacket molded to the wire itself. And a lot of times it is cut, or a lot of times it's cut. A lot of times it is molded right together into the wire. So the wire itself is molded right to the jacket. So instead of it coming together later, it's molded right into it. So as you look at that, let's see if I can get a good shot of that one. Kind of hard to see, but anyway, you can see right through there. There's no other holes except for the two holes where the wires went. And if you look at the two wires, there's only two wires. There's no mesh braids or anything else. So water cannot penetrate through this and trace back through the wire itself up into your device, your enclosure box, anywhere else. It's outside plant wire rated for that. Now, one of the things I just did and I noticed is when you cut this stuff off, you got to be really careful or you get cuts, jacket cuts. So if you can look really close here, I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not, but I ended up actually cutting into the interior jacket of this wire. So I would need to redo this connection to make sure that I did not damage the interior wires as I was cutting this back. So a lot of times what you want to do, I'll just go to the other side, is you want to start easy with a nice sharp knife and you want to just rotate around it. The nice part about outside plant wire is that a lot of times the jackets are a little more rigid because they're going to do a different type of plastic. That reminds me of something else. So I just scored the wire and now I'm kind of just bending it and flexing it to break it apart, and the plastic is just kind of breaking apart and opening up, and piece comes off. I didn't make any damage. I get the wire completely separated. Now I can make that termination. Here's another thing to consider too about wire. Outside plant wire is black. The reason that it's black and the reason that all wire that is good wire is black is because it is UV treated. There is natural UV inhibitors inside of the black. It's a carbon, that's for sure. So it is part of carbon. It's part of the world that we live in. But this wire will remain flexible for years and years and years. So anytime you see black plastics, black material, black jackets, even rubber black jackets, they are UV stabilized. Let me get something for you here. This here is an old LED floodlight fixture. And one of the things I wanted to point out on this guy is look at all this sun burning. So this project, they specified the wire to be white, and where the sun was blocked, the connector is sleeved over here, it still remains fairly white. But look at the rest of this. Sunburned, bleached. And that's not just like discoloring. In fact, this wire is brittle. It's more brittle. It's burned this wire in this jacket, and it's caused all kinds of problems. So you don't want white wire. Even if it's going to match into your building, there's other ways to hide the wire than to get white wire, because white wire will sunburn. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, new technology. We've figured out how to make white wire UV inhibited. Not going to happen. I've never seen it. I've seen all kinds of specs where guys say that they know how to make this work. There's new technologies, there's new companies, even new companies coming out say they've got this new white wire that's totally sun resistant. It's not. It always turns into this. It always yellows, it always sunburns, and it always becomes brittle, crunchy, and nasty. Blech. So, outside plant wire, that's the only way to go in outside applications. This kind of wire was got the strain relief braids. Use that for interior applications. And as we get into some of the other wiring situations, I've also got riser rated wire and other things where it's got a braid around it, a metal braid that acts both as the ground and as a shield protection for lightning. And it also allows the cable to be supported. Riser rating typically gives the cable the ability to travel from floor to floor to floor without having to have some type of strain relief. So if you see a lot of cables going up through conduits or other wire chases, and they're not a riser rated cable, it's highly likely that the cable is being pulled upon and the wires inside are beginning to break or fatigue. So that's another thing to be considered about too. So all that to be said, if you guys like this information that I'm pumping out, if you guys like what I'm saying, talking about stuff, you've seen these kinds of applications, and you guys like to have some more information, like to learn maybe from one of my training courses, hit me up, like and subscribe. I'd love to come out and do a training course with you guys where we can talk about all these different kinds of issues in the LED lighting industry. Been a part of this for over 30 years, doing lights since the late 90s. Well, mid 90s, so I kind of have a lot of experience. I've been working on this for a long time, and there's a lot of little tips and tricks that I've found over the years. Lots of little things, pitfalls to avoid, and new cool technologies to help make your life a lot easier so you don't get callbacks. And you don't have to be out there constantly serving stuff and making sure that everything is working. So once you do a job, you put it in, you make it work, and you get to walk away and be proud of your work, and you don't get a callback. That's the best part about it. It saves you money in the long run by doing the lighting properly. So if you guys like this stuff, like the information I'm talking about, like and subscribe. Hit me up for more information on my training courses, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.